Hey everyone, Corey from Aquarium Co-op. Today we're back with another live stream. Provocative title, kind of, or intriguing title, I would say. But I've been absent for a while. In fact, I was meaning to look that up before I went live. I'm trying to remember the last time I did a live stream. It's been, well, I'll tell you. I'm doing the member live streams with Randy and Zenzo almost weekly. We've been doing that for, what is that now? Like 59 weeks, so more than a year. And that scratches the live stream itch some, but not in the same way because well, one, it's not live. It's live with my co-host, but not live with you, the viewer. And yeah, so when was my last live stream? Last live stream was February 27th, so a couple months ago at least. And so I've been thinking about the title of this, like, I'm not a robot, and what that means for, I want to say, like 18 months, maybe a little bit longer, kind of the hype train of AI and kind of watching it play out on YouTube, and YouTube kind of just leaning into it, and what that all means for my career, Aquarium Co-op, me as a viewer, all of these things. And I think today I finally kind of figured it out that the end goal is just proving that you're not a robot. Like, that's the standard these days. There's too many videos I run into that you click in, and after like 30-45 seconds you're like, I don't even think this is a real video. Or maybe my wife will be showing me something and you share something with a friend or a partner, and then you start asking, is that even real? And I think that's a weird thing to be, instead of analyzing the content like, oh, that thing was funny or I learned something, instead you're spending some time reflecting on, is this even real? Is this misinformation? Was this, AI? And so for a long time I've been thinking, how do I, the overall picture that I've had is, how do we basically say Aquarium Co-op, we're not AI? Like, that seems like that was never part of my business plan, and yet every day I think it gets stronger in that, how do we prove to people that when you email us, you're going to reach Candy or uh, or other employees or people stepping in? If you go to the store, real people are going to be there. And routinely, I keep running more and more into, let's hop into chat to try and get some help. Oh, this is just a bot. Or this email that came through is a bot response or AI response, whatever you want to call it. And so I'm trying to figure out how I do that for Aquarium Co-op and my career. And so in the early days of Aquarium Co-op, the YouTube channel, my premise was, I wanted to show people that the knowledge that I have, not that it's necessarily super high in one area or anything like that, but the knowledge that I have is my knowledge, and not reading from Google research and then making a video. So I did a lot of live streams, a lot of off the cuff things, hundreds and hundreds of them, to basically prove to the audience that the things that I talk about, I know off the top of my head because I've experienced them. And that, works, but the video part I never thought was going to be a problem. So like, the live stream proves that, no doubt. But the video part of making a video now, it's very easy to make something with AI. And in fact, at this point, it was driven home to me last night and today as I was thinking about it. KG Tropicals, John, love that guy, put out a video, and a top 10 video, which is, he hasn't done one in a while, but so I clicked in on it, and I'm watching it. And it's like, yeah, it's what a top 10 video is. But what kind of stood out to me was, I know who John is. I hear his voice. I know it's him. And then something in my brain told me, this could have been anybody's video. Like, this wasn't a KG Tropicals video per se. And so this morning, after I was done working out, I was kind of just thinking about this. I was thinking, I wonder if I could use AI to just change the voice. And so I did that as my own exercise. Like, I took his video and I ran it through an AI thing, and it now was a British woman's voice. And it wasn't 100%, but definitely like 90% passable. And I saw that it was that easy that I can see down the road of like, you download an Aquarium Co-op video, you scrub the audio to be just a different voice, and now it's just a different thing. And what I focused in on was, well, how do you prevent that? How would you, the only thing I can think of, what is KG Tropicals? KG Tropicals is John and Lisa. And so being on camera is very important, which is the polar opposite, by the way, of where YouTube started. Over 10 years ago when we were doing YouTube, it wasn't that. The retention graphs and the things you could see was basically if the human's on camera, people are going to fast forward because they want to see the aquarium or the fish or the explanation of the thing they're doing in front of them. Now, I believe we're kind of on the other side of this. Everything kind of goes in a circle to the point now where if you don't show the human, the average person watching can't know if it's real or true or whatever, right? And so as I've been analyzing, how many, let's say, new subscribers or members or just interactions we're getting with the content we do, I've been thinking about, if you don't know who Aquarium Co-op is, which is most of the world, and let's say you got in the hobby yesterday and you just click into one of our videos, you wouldn't know that it isn't AI or not. You wouldn't. Like, AI's gotten good enough and you don't know that we wouldn't use AI. And so I think doing more live streams, but mostly more talking heads, because I was also analyzing the content that I actually watch out on YouTube, no matter what genre it is. And for the most part, I want to just watch a human. I'm very irritated when I click on something and a minute into it, I'm going, wait a second. I think this is just AI driven, like they're using story blocks or some kind of, they're buying the video footage and then they've written a script and then AI is doing it, basically, like reading out the script. And that's now become a packaged video that doesn't have the nuances of a human, right? And so I first saw this happening in blog articles, so much so that every YouTuber, every business is cranking out blog articles left and right, because you literally can prompt AI and just go, write me a blog article about Japanese rice fish, and it will. And then you grab a picture of two from a service and you post it, and now you have a thing that hasn't been really, I'm going to call it fact checked or peer reviewed, or even, and it's not that they're so wrong, it's that they're also not so right. They're missing all the nuance. If if it's spaghetti is spaghetti sauce and noodles, that's true. But there's so much nuance in, well, shall the pasta be real mushy? Should it be al dente? Should it be this type of pasta? Should they be in certain lengths? Like, oh, you're breaking it up too much. What about the sauce? There's all these nuances that go into things that I think the robot doesn't know and go into. And so we're still trying to figure out, like, well, how do we stand out? How do we, in an area where not 10,000, but let's say 100 aquarium blog articles come out a day now, and let's say 90 out of 100 or something is AI. How do you stand out? Because the user fatigue of Googling and then looking and going, oh, I just you're 2 paragraphs in, 3 paragraphs in, this is AI slop. Oh, this, I don't even know how truthful this is anymore. I got to find a new source. And that's fatiguing on the reader, right? And so the same thing's going on in video. It's going on in newsletters too. I see it all over the internet, basically, of like, oh, it's just write me a newsletter about auto feeders. And then it does. And then you go, well, let me change auto feeder to Aquarium Co-op auto feeder. And then you would post it. We don't do that, but that's happening all around. So again, user fatigue on just way too many emails, because everybody can craft an email in about 10 minutes now if you're using AI, which is a great segue to our auto feeder right here. Why do I have one? Well, we did some upgrades to it. And AI wouldn't know that yet because we haven't talked about it yet. So take that, AI. What have we done? One, same price. So we didn't change it, but we upgraded it. So first thing, let me take the drum off here. There we go. Drum is off. This new contraption that you may, if you've been watching us for years, is a new 3D printed piece we tested, but now it's molded. We paid to open the mold and everything. So this shape, let me, hold on, I gotta get it to move here. There we go. So, fully closed is like that. The biggest challenges we were having was how do we feed Magic Small Fish Feed or other small foods like Extreme Nano and other stuff out of a feeder, like the traditional. I think we still include the traditional one. Let me see if that's true, because there's something in here. Yeah, so the traditional one was not pointed. It was this apparatus. And so it would just have like, you would just open it up and it would be quite a big space being open right there. And so we were using tape. Many years I just used tape. It's like, yeah, use tape, that'll work. And it did work. But I wanted to make it so that we didn't have to jerry rig it and you could have a piece. And so now this piece, if I was to close it mostly or just open it like one little click, let me get that set up here. So I don't know if you'll be able to see that right here, right above my fingernail. There's that little hole. And as you push this down, that hole can get bigger, right? Till it gets pretty wide where a lot of food can come out. But being that we put it at an angle, this now can get down to a very small amount of food. How big the hole is depends on how big the pellet is or the fine powder is, all of that. So that helps refine it. Now, it's still not the end-all be-all. If you have a 1-gallon aquarium and you put that setting down as low as it goes, it'd still be too much food. But it is still clearly a step in the right direction for our auto feeder, at least. The next thing we did, let me grab this off here. So we've always included this. This goes on the rim of your tank. You can clamp it down. It'll hold it. Won't go anywhere, right? However, the old auto feeder was not super heavy and weighted. This now has a giant chunk of metal in it so that you can just put it on glass. You can just set it on anything, where before, I don't have another one, but before, this part wasn't heavy enough and it would just fall over and fall off. So now you can just set it on an aquarium and it'll do its thing, right? And so you don't have to clamp it. That helps a lot when we're talking about like acrylic tanks or other oddball things. And so just ease of use. It still comes with the pads, a sticky pad, so you could stick it to an aquarium, like if you got a cat that's jumping around or something. But the ease of use of, man, I wish we could just take that and put it somewhere and it would stay. Obviously my hand wasn't flat there, but so those cost us more money to make, but no more money to you. Just makes the product better. So hopefully that's going to help out. But back to the original I'm not a robot point. I think I'm going to focus on more content where I'm in front of the camera. More, kind of talking head style videos so that people will know who we are. And I think I'm going to dumb the thumbnails down a lot. Thumbnails have gotten pretty crazy with AI and YouTube. So there's AI, there's a piece, and then there's YouTube, which is a piece. And those together, we've just gotten kind of ridiculous. And so with lots of thumbnails just looking the same because different AI models are just making them, right? I think it's going to go back to more simple of like, hey, that just looks like Corey who needs a haircut, which the live stream won't be too long today because I have to go to a haircut. I have an appointment. But more low-key thumbnails so that the hope would be that if you're not Dee Dee's Fin Den, who's been around for many, many years and knows who Corey is, right? You might go, hey, that looks like there's going to be a human in that video. I'll click on that one, and maybe we will reach new viewers in the levels that we were previously. And it makes my job a little bit easier, too, of just going, hey, just take the picture, or just use something from the video like it's that. And for sure, short term, I think we'll suffer in terms of the amount of views and the things that will happen. But long term, the people that do stick around, the people that are in a live chat on a Monday afternoon, that connection will build even deeper, and we'll bring on the people that will be watching. Will be we won't be tricking them in with like, oh, we really put the razzle dazzle on this one. and the thumbnail was great. We clicked in and then under delivered. Instead, we're kind of going to go from the under deliver, or yeah, on the thumbnail, and then like wow them, like wow, that was a real crappy thumbnail. I thought that video was going to suck. Turns out it was all right. Okay. I wonder if AI Dean cooks as well as real Dean. I don't know, but what I do know is AI stuff is getting so good. I watch myself be tricked sometimes of like, I'll watch something like, oh, that was neat. And then I'll go to like start telling someone about it. I go, hold on. What's coming out of my mouth, I don't even believe anymore. I'm pretty sure that's not real. And then I watch it again, like, that wasn't even real. Like, that wasn't even real. And so watching friends and family get tricked, basically, is concerning. So I want to lead with, you know, hope. I don't know if it's ethically, because that's not necessarily the angle I'm going for, but you know, try to be pretty honest and open and normal dude type of aquarium keeping. And so how do I convey that? How do I package that up and give it to the masses, where the masses, you know, I don't know what percent of people don't know that X amount of stuff is not even real. And then there's probably like the big majority that kind of know and they can navigate, you know, online internet and figure things out. And then there's, you know, the ultimate skeptic where like, I think Corey said he's not a robot because he actually is a robot right now. And this is actually AI speaking for Corey. So yeah. Also, yeah, we've had a lot of dog issues over the last couple of months. Both of our dogs got very sick. Worried that we were going to lose each of them. You know, they're about between 10 and 11 years old each. Both doggy ER visits overnights for a few days kind of end up being very expensive. And unfortunately, both of them kind of no resolution. I mean, not no resolution. They're doing better, which is good. But no, there's no smoking gun of like, that's the problem, we fix that problem. Instead, it was like, hey, we got it better using some steroids and stuff, but we don't know what caused the swelling of the eye and the lethargy the dog had. And like, yeah, we all agree it looked like it was going to die, and then we got it better, ran all the, you know, we took biopsies and we took blood and we've done all these things. We sent out samples to Cornell University. Like, we've gone through the gamut, and now both dogs are doing pretty good. One's still got a feeding tube. You know, my wife's been an all-star where we were having to do meds and feeding like every 3 to 4 hours. So we've had a lot of nights that are long and not sleeping well and all of that between. So it's been like 2 months of that basically. Which is not an excuse, just mostly just real life stuff. You know, as we're not robots, you know, we have other things with other pets and stuff going on too, just like you guys would. And so, yeah, my wife was talking about that in the chat, and, you know, right now both doing pretty good, definitely on the mend. And we're hoping to get Tinky's feeding tube out like next Monday-ish, roughly, I think is when the appointment is. So she's been eating on her own finally, not out of a port for like the last 5 days, and drinking water and all of that. So, yeah, we're finally getting, you know, like the treatment plans working, and like, okay, we're settling into a new norm, and we're starting to get some nights of sleep, which is good. Yeah. So, you know, we had like a seizure scare with the one, like seizure and stroke, we thought. Turns out neither of them. And then on the other dog, lots of cancer scare, like colon cancer or intestinal cancer, and turns out we've ruled out all of that, so it's not that, but also still don't 100% know what it is. You know, it turns out in medicine, it's real easy, not real easy, but, you know, a lot of it is, let's keep ruling out what it's not, and eventually we'll stumble upon, hopefully, what it is, instead of trying to guess, like, I think it's this. So, yeah. Had a quick question about Simple Green. I'm guessing you mean Easy Green. I bought it, but nitrates are through the roof because of it. I do have live plants. They're at about 80 parts per million. Should I be worried? Well, I would break it down in that, knowing that dosing Easy Green, right? If you're doing it 1 milliliter per 10 gallons, that adds, off the top of my head, it's like 2.3 ppm, right? So if you're doing one dose a week, if you're at 80 right now and you dosed 1 part per million per 10 gallons, you would then be at 83 parts per million. Most times when we see elevated nitrates, it's either A, you've got a lot of food going in there, or B, you're really overdosing. So like maybe you're going, oh, I was doing 1 milliliter per gallon, or I was just dosing really hard. So usually it's not so much Easy Green being a problem for elevated nitrates because you really have to put a lot in to get it pretty high. It's in addition to other things going on. Now, to be fully transparent, that also might be a sign that you don't need Easy Green, in that if you're only using Easy Green for the nitrogen, you have a lot of nitrogen. So part of this, dog thing, we got water tested and all of that. And so officially there's like 1.53 ppm nitrate in my well water, as verified by, a German lab, I guess. We got sent out to Germany for the testing. And so, but there are tap waters that might have 20, 30, 40 parts per million nitrate in there. And so you could have that issue. You could have lots of food going, and that could be an issue. And the goal, what you're really trying to achieve, is the balance between how much are your plants eating and how much is going in. And like in this tank, if I didn't put Easy Green in, it will starve out because there's a lot of plants. But in your tank, you might have I have 3 slow growing Anubias and a lot of fish, and I'm feeding them pretty heavy. You wouldn't need more nitrogen from Easy Green. However, you may still need the trace elements and other things. So just because nitrates are high doesn't fully mean I don't need any fertilizer or anything like that. But where I would start would be maybe take a week or 2 off of Easy Green and see what your nitrates do. If they continue to go up or they don't go down, that might be a sign that you've got quite a bit going on in your aquarium in terms of food. The other thing you could do is you could change water. I changed 50%. You're now at 40. Wait a week, change 50%. Maybe now you're down at 30 or 20 or 30 or whatever that is. And then monitor again. And that'll let you know, okay, is the Easy Green doing this? The other thing you could do is test your water right now, right? Dose a dose of Easy Green, let it marinate and mix in the water for half an hour or something, then test again. And you'll probably be like, oh, it's 3 ppm roughly higher. That's not much at all. And if you're only dosing once a week or maybe even twice a week, you'd be like, I pretty much can rule out that it wouldn't be Easy Green causing elevated nitrates. Now, that being said, I would love to have 80 parts per million nitrates. I would welcome that. I shoot, I don't even really think about, should I change water, till at least over 50 parts per million. And if I was at 80, I'd be like, let's see. If it's going to slowly trickle down, I'm fine with that. If it's slowly rising, so okay, I better either water change a little bit more or a little bit more often, or change the food. Sometimes changing food can come down to just the type of food, right? You could go from a dry food to a frozen. You could go from a real low quality Wardley pellet to something not as low quality. You could go for something higher in protein. The more protein is in a food, the less the fish needs to eat of it. So just like you might eat this much steak and feel full, you might also eat a whole bag of potato chips and not feel full, right? Because of the protein levels, for the most part. There's some other things there too, but yeah. So there's a lot of changes you could do. You could also add CO2 to the tank. It would start eating nutrients faster. You could make the light more intensive. So balancing that ecosystem, there's a lot of little factors go into a planted tank. And Easy Green being definitely one of them, but got to kind of figure out where's the ship going and steer it in the right direction for getting that balance. Yeah, just a remix of all the synonyms for undemanding or uncomplicated green. Any suggestion on cleaning the air collars for the sponge filters that are a pain to get clean, and are there plans for a new version that can be snapped apart or unscrewed for cleaning? Yeah, we've got videos. There's things on the website and on the forum of how we recommend cleaning them. The way that we do it at the store in here is we take a syringe, right? And so I just disconnect the air from my air source, whether it's an air pump or I use, the PVC lines. and then I run syringes of water through it. So I take it from the aquarium, take it from the aquarium, and you do that 3, 4, 5 times, something like that. Takes me 30 seconds to a minute. I pop it back on, tons of airflow again. And in my aquariums, the way I run them, I have to do that every 3 months or so at the store. We're running real big heavy loads in some of the tanks, and so it can be every couple weeks. That being said, you had asked if we're making a new version that can come apart or something like that. The problem with anything that comes apart, it'll just leak the air, so that wouldn't work. However, I think it might land next month, maybe. I did design what I'm calling like a high flow, or yeah, I think we call it the high flow easy collar system. And basically, it will use one of our air stones. It still has the airline come in from outside and then go inside, so you get still the nice benefit of the uplift. It's slightly louder, and the bubbles are slightly bigger, so it's not quite as efficient. But I think people that are running into those clogging issues, whether it's a heavy bio load, whether it's something the way you're feeding in the water, or like originally we started developing it for like wholesale facilities and things, places where it's like we're running 800 of these, and this is a lot, even at the cadence of like once a month. Like, that's a lot of cleaning. And so I kind of set out on a path of like, well, how do we get most of those benefits that these wholesalers and fish sellers want, of like the nice uplift tube, the sponge filter, with trying to eliminate that maintenance thing, because maintenance kills you in the fish world. Like, you have to do a lot of it. You have to keep it alive. You have to, by feeding it and cleaning it and monitoring health, having to have parts that are serviceable in massive scale like that are a hindrance. And so, but that being said, like the Easy Flow collar in its original thing, still super quiet and more efficient. So you can use less air for more water movement, and quieter than a whisper. So there's always going to be trade-offs. There's physics come into play of like, well, if you want the bubbles to be bigger so that the holes would be bigger bubbles are louder, and they're more turbulent on the way up. And so I think I've bridged the gap for the best of both worlds there, and we get a very very easy compromise on not much louder, but less maintenance on that end. Also costs a little more money because you have to buy an air stone, so we'll see. What's that sponge filter behind me gallon wise? I don't know, 3 gallons, as in it's 3-gallon big. It is not meant to actually be used. The amount of questions where people actually want to use them is staggering. No matter how many disclaimers, like, this is kind of a joke product, not meant to be like real technical, like, well, how would you bring it out of a pond that's 300 feet deep? I've got a crane that can do this. Like, just use a different system. Like, this is mostly, it's a wall display. Like, it is functional, but the thought exercise of, how do I get this out of the 800-gallon aquarium using a garbage bag? Like, yeah, the answer is you don't. Like, that's the answer. I got my syringe to clean from my local pharmacy. They give them out for kids' cough syrup. I put in the airline. It works great. Yeah, or you can order like a billion pack off of Amazon for probably $12. We've considered selling them, but then I also just kind of was like, we'll just sell the alternative. The other thing, and I haven't done this, even though I've got some stuff set up. Some people on the forum swear by ultrasonic cleaners. So if you have one of those laying around, apparently it works great. You could also like soak it in bleach. There's a bunch of ways to clean it, but I found that the syringe, which someone else came up with that. I didn't invent that idea, but after testing different ideas, the syringe thing is super duper quick and easy. So that's my preferred method. It used to be, I take the color out, like brush it out, do things. We used to have the syringe have a piece of tubing on it, take the color all the way out, and like clean the color, watch it spray through. It's way easier if you just disconnect it from the air pump and go from, even if you have like a 5-foot cord, just keep putting water through, and it'll clear. Let's say it clears 85% of the junk out, and you're like, yeah, it's good to go. So where like ultrasonic or bleach or something like that probably gets 98%. And you go, oh man, that would have lasted, instead of, for me, 3 months, it would have lasted 3.5 months or 4 months. It's so quick and easy that I'm like, oh, is that flow? It's literally, it's done, moving on. So you mentioned AI. How do you currently use AI at all in your business? If not, do you plan on integrating AI in the future? I don't know. I mean, I pretty much hate AI because AI, for most things, does a terrible job. In almost all instances, it does worse than a human does if I give them the task. However, there are things that pop up here and there. So let's say I try 100 things with AI, whether it's making an image, whether it's editing a thing, whether it's collate this information for me, do this thing. If I give it 100 different ways to use AI, 99 out of 100 are unacceptable for our level of work. However, there is one instance that I can point to and go, this is something I've not been able to achieve as a human, and it is good, and that is cleaning up bad audio. So lots of plugins and stuff over the years, and tweaking and trying to fix audio. AI does a better job at it. It has taken audio recordings that we thought we could never release as video. We have to throw it away. It just got bungled up so bad. And why I think it, because it can kind of read between the lines and fill in the missing data. Where when you're using a plugin or something, it can remove things, but it doesn't really add things in. So the best way, the analogy I could give for that is like, a plugin could remove the wrong toppings on a pizza. It's like, hey, yeah, take out the pepperoni, take out the pineapple, take out this. It's good at taking things out. It does not have the ability to add things. I made a pizza and I forgot cheese and it's already on the dinner plate. Oops. Now, AI does have the ability to fill some of that in though. And so it can go, oh yeah, you forgot the cheese. We'll just insert the cheese. And so it can do that where it's like, oh man, the camera really focused on the bubbling. Or a lot of times it's a blower. We'll be standing, they'll be showing something like a big brine shrimp vat. We hatched 55 gallons worth of brine shrimp, and their air blower is just like a vacuum cleaner. It's like, woo! And you can you're having a hard time hearing them in real life, and the camera just loses it. The microphone can't, it's like focusing on the whirring sound and not the human sound. But there's enough human sound there that at least the one version of AI can eliminate the whirring sound and bring back the vocals. And so that is the one instance so far. And I told my other people in my company, I was like, I think this is the first time where AI is actually better than what I can accomplish as a human or other people can accomplish. And but for the most part, I haven't found it to be useful, and we try to avoid most of it. We don't incorporate it into like the website or the customer service, and every company is trying to sell us a package on for X amount of money per month. You would never have to talk to your customers again. You would never have to do this thing again. And until I start getting experiences with other companies where I'm like, wow, this was really great, and it was AI, I don't want to be the guinea pig, and I don't want you guys to be the guinea pigs with us going, this is not good. So yeah, that's where we are with AI, in that I'm definitely not a CEO of a company like pushing people to use AI. I would be the opposite of like, and I tried to use AI even last week. I was like, okay, I'm doing a video, like I think the video that comes out this week will be about Daphnia, and I keep calling this person, they're really good with Daphnia, and they're like a Daphnia wizard. And so I was like editing up the thumbnail and doing my thing, and I'm like, it'd be funny if it had like a real life wizard hat on this person. Like that would just be funny. And so I'm asking AI like, put a wizard hat on it. And then it keeps coming back with like these cartoon wizard things that look nothing like the person at all anymore. And I tried a few times. I'm like, yep, it just can't do what I need it to do. And so I move on. So I keep in touch with what is the thing doing. Because you don't want to be the guy that only uses a screwdriver because the first drill sucked. And then you never use a screwdriver in your life because of that. It's like, okay, well, it's been a couple years. Did they get the drill to be efficient? Oh, they did. I should probably use that. So yeah, but there's there's a lot of people I know using a lot of AI, and my thing is always to them of like, but anybody that kind of knows AI, like uh how do you reconcile that? Like I personally, for me, the minute I see like a classic telltale sign of like, oh, each line has an emoji and it's written out in bullet point. Here's the 5 steps to cleaning an aquarium. It's like you can see the telltale signs of AI, even if it wasn't AI. Like the description in this video right now would look like that because we have an emoji and then like shop at Aquarium Co-op, and then we have like an emoji. Here's where our live fish that we recommend. Here's an emoji. Here's April Aquariums for Canada. That format, we were a human, we did that. We've had that format for a very long time, but that has been really adopted by AI, and as a telltale sign, like even I would avoid that. I'd be like, oh man, I don't want to read AI stuff. So, and it's not that I would never read AI stuff. It's so often I find it to be inaccurate that I don't want to waste my time. And so I think the big difference here is that while I am currently an AI hater, I I think things could change where I'd go to neutral on it, and maybe someday I would even really embrace it. But currently, in its form so far, the ways I interact with it, it still tends to be a waste of my time, and I'm watch it to be very adverse for a lot of newbies to the hobby. They will literally start forum posts and emails. I asked XYZ AI thing. It said this. I'm not getting those results. And then we have to go like, well, it's wrong here. It's wrong here. This is here. This is technically true, but it missed the nuance. And so uh, with a human, you can kind of pick up on, oh, you're really good at water chemistry. I don't need to go over that with you, but you're not so good at the untechnical, the artistic aspect of like, you kind of got to feel, are the fish happy, not just physically, is the water healthy? Let's see here. How much did your 48-inch lights sell for when they were in stores? I found some, just trying to make sure I'm not paying 3 times the original amount. I think I can pull that up. Let me tell you. We still have a product listing on our back end, so I can tell you the last price we were selling them at, I think. The last sales price on those were $174.99 is what our retail price was online and in our store. Your face looks like you've lost some weight. Is that an AI filter? Just kidding. You look good. Keep it up. I am dieting, and oh, and the first 3 letters of that word seem to be accurate. Yeah, so your die. Yeah. No, I've been losing a little bit of weight. I've been touching grass a little bit more, for the internet memes out there. Like I get outside and be with nature a little bit. Been mowing the yard if you've been following the podcast. Which, you know, I haven't been online really outside of videos, but you're missing out on 59 episodes of Deep in the Mulm. It's more than just fish for sure. It's a lot of camaraderie and talking about just life and in the like, what do you got going on at home? And so if you're following that, which you may or may not be, if you remember, I talked about, got my electric lawnmowers going, and I think my wife and I now, I'm going to call it this season, so of this year, I think we've planted around 75 fruit bearing like trees / shrubs. So we've just been outside. Like I bought an auger, so I've been auging holes out. And she's been planting them, and so we've just been outside active more, and that definitely is I think helping to lose a little bit of weight and stuff like that. So with the luxury of hindsight, was the 800-gallon worth it? I would say yes. From a marketing standpoint of a company, yes. From a hobbyist, no. Honestly, I hate's a strong word, but I kind of hate the 800-gallon. I only look at it with like, there's so much that needs to be done. Like right now, I'm looking at it and going, I need to scoop out those plants they've tore up. In a perfect world, I would catch out the 300 probably pseudochrome, or it's not pseudochromis, Pseudotrophia loci, and get them to like a wholesaler and reset the tank and do what I want it to do. But I just look at that as like, that's like a week-long project at minimum right now. Like, ugh. And so it's so big that it's daunting. Like it feels like the weight of having to move, where it's like, oh, but the new house or the new apartment or whatever is gonna be so nice. It's closer to work. It's got all these benefits, but the sheer like, yeah, but moving the stuff, ugh. And that's kind of how the 800 gallon always feels like. Yeah, the sheer volume of, ugh, like it's so much though. But it's awesome when it's done. But it's so much. That's how it feels. So I would say to the average person, no, I don't think the 800 gallon. And in fact, I would struggle now in where I'm at in life right now to need an aquarium larger than this 150 gallon. This 150 gallon is kind of a little bit bigger than what I need. I've got guppies, mollies, and swordtails in there. It's not even like I'm not utilizing it for bigger fish. And I do love big fish. Let's see. 800 gallon might be a younger person game. Yeah, I mean, I think it's where you're at in the hobby. There are times when I also think that if you've never had a giant aquarium, your enthusiasm in your thing is higher, right? And maybe it's like jumping out of an airplane. I've never done it, right? But it seems like that first time might be mind-blowing. But maybe the 100th time you've jumped out of a plane, it's like, no, it's awesome, but it's not a mind-blowing experience. And I think having an 800 gallon at the beginning is kind of mind-blowing in the planning and the fun you're having. But then the repetition over the years becomes like, yeah, no, I have that. It's pretty cool. It's just, I see all the downsides too. And when you're really jazzed up about something, you don't look at the downsides as much. So, any regrets in business? Probably a giant long list. Yeah, there's, I don't, that would just lead to like rants and stuff, but I don't have any ones off the top of my head that make some sense right now. As a YouTube Premium member, I'm annoyed that there's so much slop stealing focus off human content creators. I just got to notice Premium is going up to $15. Yeah, I'm not thrilled with that either. All I can do is try to help lead the way. I'm trying to. I still work closely with YouTube, and I have NDAs signed, so I can't talk a lot about a lot of stuff. But I don't hold my opinions back when I'm in these focus groups and things, with creators and talking about features and things. And I'm right there with you and going, I think we could do better. Obviously every business could always do better. But I do think there's times over the YouTube career that I've had where it's like, wow, YouTube is an incredible value and is amazing. And I still feel that way today. I thought about it. I think a week or two ago, because I'm like, when's the last time I actually watched something on Netflix? Like, yeah, like what I watch. I watched the Peaky Blinders movie, I think, and then like before that, it might have been a month or two. Like, and maybe my wife's watching a little bit more, but it spawned the question in my mind. Okay, well, I would get rid of Netflix before I would get rid of YouTube Premium, because I watch YouTube videos every single day of my life. Whether it's just feeding my fish, I might be listening to another content creator in the fish space, or I'm listening to a podcast while I'm mowing the lawn. Like, I still use YouTube in my daily life as a consumer every day. Not so much always fish. It could be other things. And it for sure is my number one resource. And like, my car is doing a thing. Let me hop on YouTube. That's how I fix the car doing the thing. So I think it was an incredible value early on for Premium. I still think we're probably getting a good value now, but it all depends. You might go, I only watch YouTube once a month. Like, yeah, then it would not be. But for me, I really don't like ads, and I kind of signed on years ago when I thought like, okay, I've made enough that I can make this choice. I won't watch ads if there's an option to not watch ads, in that I could pay money and then get the thing. And so I don't tolerate it very well where I'm paying the money and they want to give me ads. Like, nope. Even right now, this live stream, ads are so disruptive. There are no ads. If you're getting ads, that's something on your end and they're doing that to you. I literally didn't turn monetization on. And then when it's done, an hour or two later, I will turn on monetization and just have very few ads because it wants to stuff an ad every 3 minutes, and that's a too jarring experience. And I think there's always a balance in everything. Like, obviously I'm on YouTube because I want to share what I do, but we also need to make some money while doing it, some to, pay for all the things, but not at the expense of this is unwatchable. So finding that balance can be tricky, and I think personally, I think YouTube is too far on the other. Like, let's just give them all the ads, and I'm like, I think we've gone too far. But sometimes in business, we've done that. Like, you go too far, and you got to correct. Like, okay, we know where the limit is. Like, let's reimagine what are we doing here, and approach it in a new way. Although Corey, you've always been a good guy. YouTube allowed scammers on the platform, and that ruined it. It's hard to say. I don't know that we can. I don't know that we can really quantify that, or I could quantify that, because there are still channels and connections and things that I have going on YouTube that aren't soured and are just amazing, and I cherish them. And then there's things like, oh, that went downhill, or oh, that's just, I can't stand that. But I still think the concept and what YouTube is doing is still amazing. The reality, like, and I would say I get this a lot more the further remote I go. The fact that I could visit a village in Brazil that's very, very remote, like they don't have a grocery store, and yet they have the internet and can watch a YouTube video and learn how to build a log cabin. They could learn how to harvest the rubber trees. They could, like, the concept itself is still insane. I believe that sometimes we use something so much that we don't appreciate it anymore because we don't remember what it's like not have it. And I go through that phase with fish. Every fish that we can keep in an aquarium is a modern marvel of science. The fact that we've taken it out of the water across the world and we keep it in our homes is really impressive. Like, and that's why I make crazy statements like, at $100 per white cloud, that's a bargain. $100 neon tetra, that's a bargain. For the amount of stuff that really has to happen to take something out of nature that's surviving without air and is underwater and get it to thrive in my personal area where I get to view it for pleasure is crazy. And that's an incredible bargain. Imagine you wanted to do that with an elephant or a dolphin or I don't know, something crazy. You're like, that'd be millions of dollars. Like, yeah. And we can do it for $300 and be successful at it. Like, wow, that is. And so I think YouTube is similar in that, yeah, you have to watch ads, but it is free. And then even if you don't want ads, you're like, well, even if it's $20, like, it's $20 for something I interact with every day of my life. And yes, are they changing things that I don't agree with? Yes, 100%. Like, I'm not in this focus group, so I can talk about it. I hate that the subscription feed, that's where I live, they have the, like, most relevant thing in the way. Like, I don't want to know what you think is most relevant from the people I subscribe to. That's what the homepage is. I want to see a chronological order of all the videos that have come out from the people I have subscribed with, and let me decide that I watch or I listen to the lawn mowing podcast when I mow my lawn, instead of you going, I don't know, it's like dinner time. Are you sure you don't want to watch it right now? Like, no, it'll be in my feed. I will scroll down a few days when I'm mowing and I will find it again. And that's when I'll consume it. So, that being said, of all the other things we've tried, like, what other platform are you going to go to? Every time I try something out, I'm like, this is just worse. So I do like to try and remind myself that just because I don't enjoy something or it's not completely tailored to the way I like it, doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. And if there's not something else suiting me better out there, then, it's kind of one of those like, yeah, you complain, but that's, yeah. That's what a robot would say. That's right. They've trained me to say that. Blink twice if you're a robot. all my tanks are fully stocked, I have found that hang on backs with foam only is more prone to a nitrite spike when cleaning than ones that include BioFX. Is that a thing? I don't know. I would say this is where like fish room opinion and science comes in. Technically, the inside of a bioring could harbor some bacteria that wouldn't be affected as much by getting exposed to air or whatever is causing you to lose some stuff. That being said, I honestly don't see any problem. Like I've never had that problem. Like I just don't. A seasoned aquarium, if you're following what we do, like I just never run into those types of problems ever. And because you've got the plants doing some of the work, you've got, if we were to analyze this aquarium, it's got it's got a cancer filter on it, it's got undergravel filter on it, it's got all those plants. The reality is the filter, while it's this big, is probably less than 10% of the beneficial bacteria in the system. And so it seems unlikely that like I could spike in my canister filled with sponge. I could like empty it out and replace the media, which you can do with Fluval FX filters because they sell the replacement media real easy. And I just don't see problems because it's not changing that much. So technically, I would say yes, you could totally see that. And if it's a new setup and maybe it's bare bottom and there's no live plants and this and that, and you're pushing the edge, I would say, yeah, you could run into that problem. But I would say like, is it that biorings are better than sponge? I'm not sure that's true. I think the answer that I would go for is like, let's just make it so we're not so reliant on the one filter. Like, let's diversify a little bit. What's my favorite type of wild live bearer? I would probably have to pick the trout goodiad, Iliadens furcidens. It's one I keep coming back to and I keep quite a bit. Am I excited for the tamasabas, which is a type of goldfish that I probably did not say correctly? Yeah. I would say, am I excited? Yes. Am I counting down the minutes? No. But I'm definitely going to keep them and feed them. And, hopefully my wife will be like, oh, those are neat. And I like them because she likes goldfish. And I like just participating. So, yeah, I think everybody's getting, Aquarium Co-op fish foods. And I didn't go through it one by one, but in theory, I think everybody should be getting 2 4-ounce containers with their fish. I think. I didn't go over that, so maybe they're like, oh, we couldn't fit in the box or something happened, but am I still going to be at the Bluegrass Bash? No. I did that last year. Wait, Bluegrass Bash. Oh yeah. No, I am. Yeah. Sorry. I was what did I just do? I spoke at Keystone Clash and Bash transposed in my brain. And I was like, no, I did that last year. No, yes, I will be at the Bluegrass Bash in Kentucky with the ACA event. And, still, spoiler alert, members, we plan to invite you over to the warehouse and, like, hang out and check it out and do all of that. I don't think we released officially the day that, I think we're shooting for either a Friday or a Saturday, but I don't know that we've nailed it down yet to do that. Kind of after the talks and all that, like later in the day, like, yeah, you can come over and hang out with all of us at the warehouse. I might be a little worse for the wear, though, because I will have been in Brazil for 2 weeks. Just with everybody's schedules, it basically works out where I'm in Brazil for 2 weeks, I'm back at home for 48 hours, then I fly to Kentucky for that thing. So I could be sunburned, could be, lots of bug bites, could be sick, worn down, all of that. But, I will be giving it my best. Hey, speak of the Brazilian expedition goer friend, Chris Lukup, is in the chat. So he is gracious enough to take me on these wild adventures. And him and I and Randy and our great host, Juliana, will be on an expedition to film ember tetras underwater. They said they found a good place like a year ago, and I perked up. I was like, wait, had I known this was on the menu, I'd be filming ember tetras underwater right now. Like, you need to tell me these things. Like, I would love to truly experience ember tetras in the wild, because that's a fish I've kept so much in the aquarium hobby. Like I'm trying to think of, yeah, we kept like I've kept geophagus and I've spawned them, and seeing them in the wild is super cool, but not nearly as many ember tetras and things like that. So also seeing some of the like marginatus pencilfish was cool, but again, I haven't kept them quite in the numbers, and so I'll be excited to film that. So yeah, it's good times. You got to have good friends when you're out in the jungle, and you can reach some misery of like the weather won't cooperate, the roads won't cooperate, my stomach won't cooperate, the flight got delayed, the thing did the thing, and you have to be able to wake up and just go, but I signed up for this and I'm in paradise. You got to make the best of it. And it usually doesn't take too long to be like, you just start looking around going, well, that's crazy. That's a monkey. Huh. Look at that bug. Look at that thing. Really easy to get distracted and forget about the things that went wrong and focus on the things that go awesome. Let's see. Would it be possible for Aquarium Co-op to use your posters of fish on their website for members? JJ Aquatic, we already have, I think, 7 of the posters available for download if you're a member. You go to the members only for sale section, and you click on that, and you in the description of the product, it's sold out because we don't sell it, it's free. There's the links to download, like this poster, for instance. Even my fish are on that one, like that beta poster you could download and have printed. I think there's 6 or 7 of them on there right now. The Blue Ridge Breeders video was fantastic, very inspirational. Would love to see more like that. Yeah, me too. It's actually quite hard to find a spot like that to film, connect with the people, and have like that came out. That was just a good. That was a good. Like everything came together. Blake on video was a little more nervous at the beginning, but really got into the role and was like a veteran, like a couple minutes in, which was great. Yeah, if there was like, oh look, we have laid out all these amazing places with amazing talent to work with. Yes, the reality is it's pretty hard. What you wouldn't know is like now when I travel places, we have people submit like go get video of the place, and we'll kind of see like, is it going to be cool? Is there stuff I want to talk about here? And that happened middle of last year, so it's a year in the planning to do a thing like that. And not all of them work out. Sometimes timelines change, people have to move, all these kind of things. But yeah, I love showing up to a fish room like that, having a great time. And even though that video was like an hour and 45 minutes, we hung out for the entire day, which is really fun. And however, it did, if everything went well, it was going to take 4 days of my life to do that in the event. But then I got real sick and lost my voice for like a week. So it's hard when you're like, oh man, I lost 11 days to make that video. Like, I love that video, but I got to figure out how to do it with less getting sick, which is kind of just a roll of the dice. But the more you travel, the more you get sick. Like, I'm convinced of it. Like, I'm in a different country, I'm exposed to different strains of things that I don't normally get exposed to. Like, oh, I guess I'm getting this cold, I guess I'm getting this. It's morphed over here. When you can't get off the toilet, paradise is overrated. Yep. I thought, I honestly, when I first read that, I thought you said, when you can't get off the toilet, paradise fish are overrated. And I was like, maybe? Then I was thinking, maybe I meant to say underrated. Like, if you can't get off the toilet because your insides are dying, maybe you want to sit and watch paradise fish. Yeah, I would too. Let's see. Everyone assumes I just do expeditions wrong. Like my wife, like, oh, I wanted his luggage filled with sunscreen last trip. I was wearing sunscreen the whole time. You're underwater. Like, no sunscreen lasts underwater that long. And it's just the nature of the business. You'd be like, you need to reapply it every 30 minutes. We would literally never be able to film fish. You'd muck up the water too much. You can't get out every 30 minutes. So it's one of those, there's things that, different probably things that are done in life where someone has to make a sacrifice, and I basically have to sacrifice being uncomfortable to get that footage, like sunburns and bug bites and other things. And yeah, everyone's applying it because even, like Juliana, who lives in Brazil full time, like the sun's no joke. It will burn the crap out of you. But at the end of the day, you still got to be in water. And so um, this time I even ordered it last night. I ordered another different hat I'm going to try and wear to help with some of these things. So there's definitely like each time I try to get a little better about it. But if you go and watch the first like Peru videos and read the comments, everyone's like, "What a fool! This guy's wearing pants and a long sleeve shirt. What a fool!" And then you see things where I'm horribly sunburned. It's like, guess what didn't get sunburned? My legs and my long sleeve shirt, like because they're SPF 50 rated clothing. Most people don't realize you buy sun-proof clothing to do these things. Like the sun is so intense, it goes through clothing. You're not just, if I just wore this, like what do you most people, I don't know if most, but I think a lot of people have experience. You could wear this and get a sunburn, not here, but literally under, like right here. This would never see daylight, and yet you could get a sunburn here because it's going through the clothing. And I think that people are used to like, oh, I was out in my backyard got a little too much sun. Like, it ain't that. You're under the broiler of the oven for 14 hours while you're in the water. The other things people wouldn't realize, and I wouldn't realize until I do it, you don't realize that when the water's 82 degrees, you're going, wow, that's warm. If you're in the water for 10 hours, you start shivering. Ask Chris. Chris routinely would start shivering. He doesn't have as much body fat as I do, so I've got more insulation. He would be shivering because your body wants to be 98 degrees. As you soak in 82 degree water, you're losing heat, and your body starts shivering as you start cooling down. You don't have to cool down too many degrees before you start shivering. Your body's trying to warm itself up. And that's annoying when you're trying to hold a camera and you're shivering, and then you got to go like lay in the sun. You're literally laying in the sun trying to get your body temp back up so you can go back in the water. All these little things trying to kill you at once in subtle ways, and you're managing all of them. It's really easy to be like, I was so focused on shivering that I forgot to drink water or whatever thing's going to get you. And so we're all working as a team. It's like, hey, you need to drink water. You need to reapply sunscreen. You need to do this. Don't forget that. And to get the best we can. So it's not just put a little more sunscreen will do you. Like, sometimes that's the least of my problems. Yeah, I mean, Chris has much darker skin than I do, and he got a sunburn, which I think Randy could have that fate too. Randy's a guy that pretty much doesn't sweat and doesn't get sunburn. There's no joke in the in that intense sun. Like, I'm not sure it's leaving any survivors. Yeah, I need a full body UV wetsuit. Yeah, I mean, Juliana, is it a dry? Yeah, wetsuit. She had a wetsuit on, and Chris brought a wetsuit, but there's pros and cons to each part of it. Like, you can manage temperature a little bit better when you're under the water. When you're out of the water, it's worse. It's hard to get in and out of. The clothing and everything gets beat up pretty bad, so wetsuits can be kind of expensive, and they're taking a beating with all the sticks. I took pictures and video of like the crazy spikes that come out of the trees because I want to do a whole thing. Like, I don't think people realize like nature's trying to kill you out there. Like, it is crazy. And I still got a couple more videos to produce, and I need to do it. But when you lose your voice for a week and a half, that sets you back a little bit. So, still on my to-do list though, and you can kind of hear, maybe you hear it in my voice. Like, it can, I tend to get those because I don't rest my voice and other stuff enough. I tend to get those like, yeah, you had a cold, but it lingers on for a month and a half, 2 months of like, yeah, I still have some sinus stuff going on because I just don't rest it enough. I just use Magic Small Fish Feed to feed my springtails, isopods, and dart frog tadpoles, not just for fish. I believe it. Oh, I think that's my wife. She'll probably bring me broth. She can't take my voice anymore. You need to eat 10 eggs for lunch. In Brazil, it's 2. You get 2 eggs. What are some goals? You bringing me the broth? Yeah. For me, I try not to set too many goals when I'm in the wilderness because recipe for failure. I'll trade you this lunch plate if you would. Yeah, if you're gonna want this prototype mug that never came out.
Yeah, but it looks good with my nails.
Yeah, here's a prototype mug that we never launched that was just Enjoy Nature Daily with like a different. We were seeing if it made sense to be more of a like camping mug, get out and enjoy nature thing.
It's so cold outside, I can see my breath.
It's not that cold outside.
It happened, bro.
Your air color trick worked awesome. Thanks for that. Live feedback. It's working. Yeah, it's the fastest and easiest way that I've found to do it. Survive Nature Daily. Maybe that's got to be like a clothing line.
I like that.
Have I heard or checked out the new selling site Aquafinder? I have, yeah. I've talked about it in live streams and other stuff before. I haven't gone on it. Like, I get their emails, and I think they're doing a fairly good job at like trying to teach people how to market. But any fish auction website, it's a chicken and the egg thing, meaning that like if I go there, like every time I've gone to Aquafinder, I'm like, sweet, let's look at the live bears, and then I'm like, oh, you have 10 different guppies, that's it, and then I leave because I'm into guppies, and they're not there. And then it's like, well, why don't you go there all the time? Like, oh, well, they don't have the guppies. Why aren't the guppies there? Well, people aren't buying. Well, why aren't people buying? Well, because the guppies aren't there. Like, you see how that kind of goes? Aquafinder. Yeah, so if I click on live bears, freshwater fish, let me go to live bears. All right, we've got some ruby red high fin standard swordtails for 125 bucks. Their picture doesn't make them look very ruby red. There's some more guppies, but so outside of the guppies, there's one listing for swordtails. No platy. Oh, there's some balloon mollies. So no platies, one list of balloon mollies, and like, oh wait, there's page 2. There's like, I'm not seeing any goodyids or any wild types. So I'm more likely to utilize it and recommend it when there's more variety. And it's that chicken and the egg thing of like, yeah, it looks okay. I think I tested it once by ordering a plant just to see what the process was like. But yeah, so of all and there's like 2 or 3 competitors right now. No one's won the market share, and until someone does, it's hard to win, it's the crux, right? Like, I need a lot of users. Well, I need a lot of sellers. I only have a lot of sellers if I have a lot of users. I only have a lot of users if I have a lot of sellers. So you have to crack one of the 2 sides to get it to work. That's right, Chris Lookup. Yeah, it's about time. You'll be there in about 2 weeks, right? In Australia. I'll be in Australia in October. Yeah, Niali says Aquafinder has 1 Episto. Yeah, the good news is they look to mostly all be hobbyist bred fish, which I'm a huge fan of. We need that tipping point to where there's enough fish of everyone's like, oh man, you got to go here, it's great. And that can't happen until we get more breeders bought in. That's really what has to happen, and I don't know how to necessarily crack that. I can get a lot of people to go there and buy, but they'll buy because the fish are there. So it's like, Yeah, Hockey Guy says, fragmented markets like that are the worst. It has happened to a lot of the collectible hobbies over the years. Annoying to have to follow and search 5 to 10 different sites to maybe not miss something. Yeah. And I think that's where we're at right now is like, you've got, like Dan's Fish, and then you've got, they had Get Gills and they got rid of that. You've got Aquafinder. There's like 2 more. I just can't remember their names. One's like fish.light or light.fish, right? There's that one. There's another one too, I think. Why can't I ship brine shrimp to Norway? Well, really, I can't really ship anything because it's customs and like filling all the paperwork and figuring out duties and international tax accountants and all of that. I don't know if there's specifically something that is holding back brine shrimp from Norway. Sometimes there's like, oh, this animal is not allowed. How do you go about training staff in the retail store with so many fish products, plants, and aquarium culture? you don't. I mean, you do and you don't. So you try to hire someone that has some knowledge, right? Doesn't have to be a high level or real heavy in one area, but like mostly you're hiring for attitude and passion for animals. And then what happens is there's the osmosis of just like right now maybe you nerd out and you spend an hour a day or something like that, like researching fish. When it turns to 8 hours 5 days a week, though, you start accelerating your knowledge and just what you're interested about very quickly. So I think it takes about 2 years to get someone pretty proficient in a retail fish store. um, and that same amount of knowledge might take 10 to 15 years as a hobbyist, and maybe never, because maybe you never, like, there's always a new problem that walks through the door every day, like, I never seen that. Like, you want to keep koi and neon tetras, okay? You want to do Oscars and bettas, okay? So there's always new challenges, like, okay, you have raccoons eating your Oscars because apparently you have a pond in the garage and it's heated, but the door stays open during the day and the raccoons are coming in during the day, even though they're mostly nocturnal. Like, there's always new things to be thinking through. And so you get wide experience pretty fast. It's like drinking through a fire hose. And yeah, so you can teach things like, obviously, here's how you do the thing, here's how we like doing this. But there's a lot of it, like, it doesn't make sense to be like, sit here and watch videos and try to learn all the things. That just doesn't work. So you got to see a lot of it, you got to experience a lot of it. Um, yeah, it wouldn't do you any good to be like, here's a 2 hour video on lasagna. If you've never eaten lasagna, you're still like, I only learned so much. Like, I've never had lasagna before. I know a lot about it, but I don't know it because I've never had it. How do you get to only using fish poop for plants? I need easy potassium, easy green, and tabs to keep mine alive. Prime Time Aquatics says it can be done, but no details. Well, I think to unpack that, you'd first have to start on the spectrum of like, what are you trying to grow? If you want a ADA aquascape, you never get that with just fish poop. If you said, I want something to be green in my aquarium and I don't want to use any fertilizers, is that achievable? Yes. Use slow growing plants like Anubias. Use cryptocorns where enough poop will build up in the substrate that will keep them going. Now, if you're like, well, how do I get my red tiger crypt to be red or pink? Like, well, you're probably not going to do that with just fish poop. You're going to need some extra stuff. But in general, the longer you have a system set up and you're letting things build up, you will get a better base for plants. So if we look at, nature, we go into a pond, a natural lake, whatever it is, and you're like, oh, there's all this stuff built up. It's mulm, it's dirt, it's leaves, it's all the stuff over the last 100 years that have built up into this. And that's what dirt is, basically. And you're like, well, we could put dirt in an aquarium. Like, you totally could. And you'll get like, but it looks like a moldy lake. Like, yep, you get that too. And where I go with that is like, yeah, but if you had a substrate, like let's say the substrate back here, if I didn't gravel vac it and it keeps building layers and layers and layers of nutrients over, let's say, 2 or 3 years, it will keep a decent amount of plants kind of going. Maybe not thriving to the fullest potential, but going. And sometimes that's what I want with things. I just want to, just do a thing. And then you wouldn't necessarily have to dose Easy Green or something like that. But the newer a tank is, the average person's not keeping tanks for a few years without gravel vacuuming. They're, gravel vacuuming there's people that gravel vac every week. Or the tank's only been set up for 3 months, 6 months, 8 months. Like, it's just not going to have enough nutrients. So I think that's how I've always achieved, is like letting things starting to build up naturally. Every day you feed, you're putting nutrients into the water. And those nutrients only come back out if you take them out via filtration or gravel vacuuming or whatever. The poop will just build up otherwise. And so, if I feed my fish once, is that enough nutrients to support these plants for 10 years? No. If I'm feeding my plant or my fish a ton every day and I do that for 2 years, could it support? If I get a 2-year head start, I might be able to support the plants for 5 years because I'm still feeding every day. And Easy Green or fertilizers are just the head start, right? Of like, okay, well, I don't have enough to support all this right now, but I could start today if I started supplementing. And that's why it's called a supplement, fertilizer supplements. Any word on a hang on back filter for aquarium co-op? Haven't put a ton of work into it yet. We've been working on some other projects. Someone asked, like, are we doing an underground filter? Yes. Hopefully it launches like next month. We got some other little goodies we're working on. We're working on plenty of stuff. I got way too much stuff I'm working on, and like we're also planning a trip to Vietnam to work on an LED light and other things, and we're prototyping some stuff right now with 3D printing on a light. Like our plan right now, the crazy aspirations I have, and I could cancel this, so just know that it might not happen. We're going to try to make what we want to make happen, send samples to Vietnam, go spend a week there working with their engineers. How can we plausibly do this and keep it affordable? That's the goal. Why is the mug right here different than the one you bought? Because this one cost me $6,000. We had art done. I think this art cost us $1,500 to have made. And then we had test prototypes of mugs. So this mug is different probably than what you got. Like the amount of like green flecks, and we have to do lots, like my wife helps with this. We have to do lots of like dishwasher testing and this and that. So that's why it's different in that I probably have 10 different mugs you guys have never seen or had access to. And some might be like I know some of them, the inside quality, you're like, oh man, the glaze job you guys did is not good. We're not going with that factory. Like, you have to have X amount made, prototypes. We spend a lot of money. It's like, this is the world's most expensive mug that never came out, basically, is what it comes down to. A lot of that kind of stuff, when we find extras, we'll give it away at like local club things and stuff like that. It's just, yeah, there's lots. That's the thing is, you guys, you see like, oh, that's a thing I can buy, like that's the thing, but so much like we're working on some tubings right now, and so like we have to fly in pieces of tubing from different factories and go, is this the right amount of crimping, and will it crimp too much, is it too hard to use, is it off-gassing too much, what about the reinforced type of tubing, it's still very pliable, will it stay pliable? Can we, like, so one of our things, right, this tubing, we want it in a bag. And they go, we've never bagged this for any other customer before. We have customers all around the world. No one wants it in a bag. Why do you want it in a bag? Because I know that tubing that sits out eventually starts to harden. So we keep it in a bag, and knowing that I have to order thousands and thousands and thousands of tubing, like 10-foot rolls or whatever we're going to do, I want to make sure that if they take us 3 years to sell, that at 3 years, they're not hard as a rock and not viable anymore. So, yeah, a lot of my time is just spent sampling things. So even if you're like, I want to do the thing, it seems easy until you're like, oh, I've been sampling so many, I don't even like what I like this quality about this. We need this to do this. Also, can we get a company to do both of those for us? And it can just be, just be a lot of work. Hey, Fish for Thought, how's it going, buddy? Yeah, the undergravel Aquarium Club undergravel filter. We're back to basics over here. I love air. And if you can drive it with air, I'm in. I'm already like, air pump, the best thing for an aquarium. Like, I need a shirt that says if you're not using an air pump, you're doing it wrong. Like, I truly believe that. I can, every setup I see, I just go, but wouldn't it be better with air? Like, whether you have to or don't have to, like, I've got this imbalance about like, but wouldn't it be better with air? Like, what about when the power goes out? Like, I just always go like, but air won't hurt, right? Like, why wouldn't we take the cheapest device and kind of the most reliable device we have in the aquarium hobby and apply it to all things? Maybe I'll ascend someday when I'm 90 years old. There'll be a a 30-year-old Corey version of me talking about, well, big air pump manufacturers, how they're fleecing us all or something. Like maybe that's just who I am to Fluval, and someone will be to me of like, this guy convinced everybody that air is important for living beings. What a fool. Enjoy air daily? You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Yeah. And the samples aren't free? No, these samples of just tubing, there's more, but like even if they'll go, oh, we'll give you these ones for free because we didn't have these one custom run, it's still like, oh, the DHL bill was $300 to ship the tubing. Like, ugh. And so you can kind of do that math of like, wait, so you solicited 7 companies and each one had a $300 bill. Like that's $2,100 just in seeing who's doing what and what's standard, what's not standard. So it can be rough. Local fish store raised their prices. I asked why. He said because of the Strait of Hormuz is closed. He wasn't kidding. Anyone else experience this? We're starting to. I've been asking our operations, Randy and other people, like, hey, are we seeing anything yet? And the answer is we haven't seen it impact any of our containers. We are starting to see fuel surcharges and things on like some of our fish vendors. And USPS went up 8%. We don't really use them much at all. I think we're only using them to get to Alaska and Hawaii on some shipments. Like I think lithium ion. So like the auto feeder that's got lithium ion batteries. I think we not have to, but we do use them for that. And so it's starting to trickle in, but no, it's not like a in your face problem yet. And what I would say to a fish store probably raising prices is that the real reason on why a company has to raise prices doesn't really matter. Like I could say like, oh, it's tariffs, or it's the oil thing, or it's this other thing. The reality is, if I need to raise my prices, the reason why doesn't really matter. Like there's a reason. It could be like, oh man, I got inefficient with my business, or whatever it is. Most mom and pops, I think most, don't raise prices out of greed. They raise prices out of necessity of like, I realized I'm going into the hole. I didn't factor in XYZ, and now that I'm tuned into that, I need to factor that in. And that does happen. You would think like that's impossible until you start doing a million things. You're like, oh, I didn't realize that they applied this thing over here, and now that's not even so good for us. Shipping from Imperial Tropicals is still cheaper than my local fish store. That's with $59 shipping. Fishroom Fever. Buy all the things, review all the things, help make more things. That is the Aquarium Co-op way. If you buy the things, that helps. If you review them, that helps other customers. And then by you guys doing that, we will make more things. So you have a direct hand in all of that. And I feel like at 13 years in business, I've got a fairly decent track record of stealing all of your money and putting it straight back into more products to steal more of your money. And by stealing, I mean hopefully fairly trading on value of this thing brings you joy and value into your fish keeping career, and you continue to buy from us because of that. And we just try to reinvest the profits in our employees and in our products and to do the thing again. Let's see. I've been waiting like a month for you to live stream. Yeah, it's been like I had an event yesterday, not an event, like a speaking event, but I had a thing planned with friends, and we woke or the night before, so Saturday night, we thought Tinky's, our dog's feeding tube kind of came dislodged. She was really irritated about it, and it looked like it might have moved. So we call the ER vet in the morning, and they're like, well, you better just bring her in. So we did, and I had to tell my friends like, hey, I got to go to the dog vet, so I don't know if I can make this thing. And it only ended up taking a couple hours, like 2.5 hours. So I was able to make it late. But that's kind of how a lot of stuff's been going for us. Is just like, should I live stream tomorrow? I'm like, I'm sick. I kind of really need to catch up on that. Like, I really should be making that Brazil video I've been putting off, or this thing. And so I just said, yep, it's Monday. It makes no sense. I'm gonna hop out of the shower after after I'm done working out and just go live for a bit because I gotta get a haircut anyway later. So, let's see. How are the old racks at the store secured so they don't drift? Don't shift. I'm trying to build that style. Uh, at the store, they're bolted into the concrete, which that was fun. I got to use like that I don't know what they call it, but it drives the bolts in. So like you drill the hole, right? And then you put the bolt like kind of there. You put this like almost hammer thing that has like a little bullet cartridge in it, and then you hit that with a hammer and it shoots it down, like shoots the bolt down. And it's crazy, and it sounds like a gunshot going off. So they're bolted in that way, and then they're at the top of them. They go back to the wall, so they're tied in there, and then along the backs through the whole thing, there's pieces of wood that go through the whole thing, so the whole rack itself doesn't just fold over, like an accordion. So it's those three ways are the ways in which we keep it standing, I guess. That's called a drop in. Is that what that thing is? Where you hit the thing and it? Yeah, I've only ever used it then. So yeah. On the latest store build we drilled the holes and used like big Tapcon screws, but the other one was that, yeah, whatever that drop in process I guess is. It's been a while, but I want to remind everyone that 2,875 hot dogs can fit into a 55 gallon. I don't hear that enough. It's a good reminder. Yeah. Aquarium Co-op mat and filters when? I got a secret for you. They're already on the website. If you just take I don't have any sitting here because I'm bad at my job, but if you take our sponge material, 13-inch square, right? That basically fits 20 longs and 10 gallons and things like that. And then you just grab a easy flow uplift kit, and then you got one. Yeah, we don't do any big ones though, because money. That's why. It costs a lot of money to ship them. 22 caliper ram set. Ram set is what's called. Ram set hammer, not drop in, I guess. I don't know. That might have been something else. Still working on building racks that won't topple during large earthquakes where I live in Japan. Yeah, actually I think it's very easy to build racks that won't crumple. I think it's harder to keep the tanks from not breaking or sliding off the racks. That's actually a harder thing to analyze. Is like the racks itself. I think that's pretty straightforward, but keeping the tanks from breaking is not as straightforward. Because if you anchor them too hard to the floor in the building, the way they move might actually break apart the aquariums. So you can flex, like if you get a rolling earthquake, you can flex the glass and it just snaps. Where if you don't like make it too rigid, they just slide back and forth and roll like on the stand, and they can kind of vibrate and maybe fall off. But there's definitely like this weird don't try too hard because it won't work, and then if you don't do anything it won't work. But we all know the co-op is just the front for the Magic the Gathering habit. Yeah, I can't even remember the last time I bought a Magic card. I think it literally might be before I opened the store. At least 13 years ago then. No, I think did I play? I think I played a little bit when I lived in Everett as like a hobby after the I don't know. I don't know the exact timeline, but it's been a long time. Probably like 8 to 10 years for sure. How are your magenta tiger guppies doing, Twin City guppies? Amazing, and they're my favorite guppy in the fish room right now. Well, yes, I think they are. Like I've got a little batch of them going, and I'm actively trying to make more of them because I am in love with those things. If they have any in stock, someone should buy them. Let me look. And if not, you should email Cy and King over there and tell them get more of these magentas because boy howdy am I in love with them. see if they have any more. They're a mom and pop shop, and a lot of times all the fish are in the store. They just haven't re-upped the number online. So if you call or email them, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, we can sell that to you," or "Oh, we'll get more of those in next week." Let's see, tiger mosaics. What did I buy? I think they were purple, right? Purple blue mosaic. No, magenta tiger pair sold out. $50 a pair, but in my opinion, totally worth it. Totally worth it. Can I put 10 endlers and 10 pygmy corridoras and 3 nerite snails in a 10-gallon tank? Yeah. Take care of it well? Yeah, you could do that. Normally drop-ins are done by hand, and a 22 caliber ram sets don't require drilling, which makes me believe he's talking about drop-ins. That, yeah, I'm honestly not sure now. I've gotten some ribbon fins and 2 albino culls from them. Have you seen similar? I've gotten some ribbon fin and 2. I mean, are you asking like you bought like they're assorteds or what? Mostly, like if you're asking, is it common for other things to come out of a line of guppies? Yeah, it's common. I just cull those out and I keep the line I like. Or are you asking, okay, let me back that up. Or are you asking specifically, have I gotten albinos and ribbon fins out of the magentas? If that's the question, no, I haven't. Mine, as far as I can see, are just true. Like I haven't had that problem yet. Doesn't mean I won't. And I also have 90% plants, but I'm looking right now and I don't see any of that. So maybe my genes aren't showing that yet. What about the 24K? Did you ever get the color locked in? No, still improving. We took a big batch to the store just a couple weeks ago. And so now I've got, kind of working on them some more. But no, not set like I kind of hoping and wanting. What about the swordtails that were struggling? All doing fine. Like they moved the alphas into here. Oh, you're talking about the ones over there. That little bit of salt cleared them up. Doing fine. Yeah. I've got babies. A few different tanks where I was really struggling with babies. I've got some with the copper mollies over here. Not a ton, but enough. Can African dwarf frogs tolerate Fritz expel P? I don't know that I've specifically done that myself, but I would bet a decent amount of money the answer is yes. But I don't have hundreds of reps like I do with antibiotics and ICX, and like that for sure has worked out well for me. I just added 5 guppies to my 40 breeder after my first ever pH crash in 40 years of fish keeping. Sometimes you gotta experience it to go, oh yeah, that's why we worry about that. Like I kind of had that happen in one of my tanks. So I've got 14 10 gallons. They're all set up the same way, and one of them had a crash pH, and it just had guppies, and the guppies like were showing some like fin issues. I was like, what is going on? I tested. I was like, pH was like 6 point something. Like how? I put more crushed coal and I fixed it, but I still can't figure out how. They get the same amount of food. I literally measure the food to the tanks. I don't know how it's different. Something to learn there. I just don't know what it is yet. I'm nearing completion of building out my auto change water system in my first fish room. Your videos and Dean's input have been extremely helpful. Really like the co-op bulkheads too. I do as well. I do enjoy a good bulkhead. Let's see. There's something I was going to talk about over there. Oh, with the water tests that I had done, kind of, because we're trying to diagnose, like, could our well water be bad for our dogs or something? Because we still, it's a mystery of, like, what's actually wrong with our dogs. What I find very interesting is that with all their high-tech equipment, it says my well water is 6.5 pH. And I'm like, yeah, but every test I've ever used puts me more at, like, 7.5 to 8. And so I'm wondering if the properties of my water change somehow over the 3 or 4 days it takes to get to Germany and have them be tested. So that's an area I'm going to look into of like, Also, to be fair, I was taking that out of my kitchen tap and not out of the fish room. So, but maybe I'll run a $300 test out here to get those kind of results. See if they're the same. Don't know yet. What Atlanta stores carry Magic Small Fish Feed? I don't know. You'd have to look at the retail fish finder. I can tell you that we sell it online though. My pH was 4.0. I lost 75% of my fish. Yeah. Shouldn't have stopped testing. 4.0, that's like melting, you're getting pH burn on fish. Like, it can happen though. It's just everything's going okay. Feed and feed and feed and feed. And eventually, like, oh my gosh. And fish that step down slowly will adapt until their bodies just don't. And so that's kind of old tank syndrome in a nutshell right there. I thought you had stuff on the wall behind you. Yeah, I used to have all the little shelves and like products and other things, and we had the big pothos vine, and yeah, changed it up because I was tired of taking care of the pothos. I often wonder if rain impacts the quality of your well. I wonder that too. Like in a perfect world, if I could, let's say, test the water for $20 or something with that level of equipment, I would really love to know. But at $250 a test, I'm like, I don't know that I just want to like test it 10 times this year and like over year to year does it change. I've seen some variants summer versus winter, like with test strips and liquid kits, but this level is very high-end equipment that will certify homes being sold, and you can go pretty far down the rabbit hole with this company. I think the next one, so truth be told, I'm gonna install a UV sterilizer on the main line and a big back flushing whole house filter to like just work on some levels of. So our tap water tests out that it's within EPA limits and like everything, but there's still like, you can always make an argument of like, yeah, it's safe, but how safe could like a tiny bit of arsenic be, a tiny bit of lead be? You got some iron in there. So I'm going to try to scrub a decent amount of that out and just see if it makes a difference. I can always flip the valve and bypass it, not use it again. So I'm going to see if that has any effect. Why was I talking about that? Yeah, I don't remember. Oh, no, that wasn't it. Yeah, I'm not sure why I went down that tangent. Didn't we just have heavy rains? Yeah, we have heavy rains. Yeah, you could be right. You could be right that we've had some heavy rains and stuff, and maybe that's why that tap water sample, because you take 2 samples. You take one right when the tap comes on to see if there's anything wrong with your pipes, and then you take one after the water's been running for 5 minutes to see if anything is like from the well and is there differences there. So that way you can try to identify, hey, are we contaminating inside your home? Is it the well? Is it whatever? So I'm interested to see if adding some things filtration wise does anything. But that being said, like Dean and I installed some sediment filters and things right at the fish room, like start of the tap, and I haven't replaced any of them, and they're not discolored at all. Like my water's real good. But why was I working on that? There was something going on in the fish room. Like I can't explain this. Oh, when we had the cloudy water, remember for like 2 years there was like 1 or 2 tanks, and no matter what I could change 100% of the water. I could do everything. I could run a UV sterilizer. I could do anything, and I couldn't get those waters to clear up. And so we're thinking like maybe it's something in the source water. Like that's the only thing I can think of. It's not bacteria running UV. Like maybe it's physically something. So we put a lot of down to I think 5 micron. It ended up fixing itself before I installed it. So now I have them because it's like I already bought them. Might as well install them. But it didn't solve my problem for it. Chemist here, pH can change in sample depending on CO2 and water, and they measure at 25 degrees Celsius. Other things like iron, magnesium, and carbonates can change pH. Change can be significant in 24 hours. Yeah, so the average test when people have like pH problems and they're like, hey, my tap is this, but my tank is this, and I do big water changes, normally we tell people take a glass of water, put an air stone in it, let it bubble overnight, and then test your water and see if it changes at all, because that's going to be more like your aquarium. Because there's some municipalities that will inject like CO2 to bring the pH down to be acceptable, like drinking ranges, and they can put other chemicals to kind of raise it up. And so by bubbling it, the hope is you precipitate out most of that and get a more true reading. Because it doesn't do you a whole lot of good necessarily to know, like, here's what my water is for an aquarium 5 minutes out of the tap, because you might drink it that way and that might be fine, and then you pee it out later and that's that. But in an aquarium, like, the water I put in might sit there for months, and so it's much more important to know, like, well, what does that water look like in 24 hours or a week, because that's what it's going to be, as opposed to 5 minutes out of the tap. So and that's, sometimes things are masked, like we have aerators. So what we don't know is if you just test your tap water and you have an aerator, like you turn your sink on and there's like lots of bubbles, it aerates it to get the chlorine out and just do things, right? Well, if you're running a hose directly to your aquarium, it won't have an aerator, and so it won't introduce as much oxygen. There's all these things, there's all these little things that you kind of have to become a little, fish room chemist and figure out what's going on with my waters in my house, and does that mean anything? What bulkhead size do you recommend for a 20-gallon high and a 40 breeder? Both of those, I use 1-inch bulkheads. I pretty much don't install bulkheads under 1 inch anymore, because you don't really save much money wise, and you increase the possibility of like a snail shell or something like that just clogging the line and getting an overflow. Is that a poster from Chris in the background there? It is, yeah. Oliver Knott and Chris sent it to me for Christmas. So they had it printed professionally on like a backing and everything. Little fun fact, at least it's fun for me, that's why I mention it so often. 2 of the fish on there I actually photographed. Those are my photos. It just feels cool to be on the same poster as Chris Lukup, who is a fish photography wizard, really good at it. And so the fact that he would even include 2 of mine, like, yes, he taught me, and I had to practice and all of that, but I think I'm going to say artists, even though I'm not an artist, but I think everyone sees the faults in the things they've done, where like he would pick apart all of his pictures going, oh, well, that's not perfect, that's not perfect. I do the same to mine, like, well, that could have been better. Because now it's like I spent hours photoing these fish. You learn like, oh, that fish actually looked a little better, or I wish I was trying to get it where his tail wasn't turned, or if that would have been a little bit better, whatever that looks like. Yeah. So yeah, those that is from Chris Lukup and Oliver Knott. I just watched Keeping Fish Simple's video on hatching out Corridor eggs. You mentioned they can die if the water is too deep and they can't make it to the top. Yeah, I've heard that as well. I wonder if that that's internet folklore or if that's true. And the reason I say that is because I've had deep aquariums where it's like, hey, they're making babies. But that also doesn't mean, like, if they laid 100 eggs and 5 make it, did 95 not make it and they die? Or were they eaten by other fish anyway? Like, I don't know that I've seen scientific, like, and it might, just because I haven't seen it doesn't mean no one's done it, I just haven't seen it. But has anyone go, okay, we took a group of 100 eggs and we charted them, we put them in groups of 5 from 1-inch depth to 5 feet depth or something, and like, here's where they stop hatching out. Maybe someone's done it, I have no idea, I haven't run that test. So but I also think, like, yeah, I do really wonder how deep that ass would have to be for them to not be able to pull that off. I also don't know that answer. Do I have any opinion on the fancy metal prints? I think they can be cool. I don't have any. If they were cheaper, I'd probably buy stuff like that. Yeah, I don't have any metal prints of anything. They can be cool, though. Let's see. Where do you order Lee's rigid airline tubing from? I know you use 3/16 with 1/4 inch RO tubing. Would 5/16 work? with 3/8 RO tubing. I don't know that answer because I haven't done that mating up of it. On the forum, someone posted a good place to get that tubing. It's not specifically aquarium tubing, but it's the same type of tubing for sure. On Granger. So if you go on the forum, you can find the link to it, and it was pretty darn cheap. Like it's my new go-to source. Like if I do another build and I need a bunch of it, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna order it from Granger. It was like $10 shipping, and you could just, like, I want to see each stick was like, I don't know, $1 or $2. It seemed real affordable. Like, wow, this is great. Thanks for sharing. And it's on the forum. It happened last week, so that's how it's in my brain. Let's see. When am I going to someplace tropical again to catch wild fish? No plans to catch them. I do plan to film them, and that'll be in June, I think. Yeah. How am I doing? Asked Nick G. Doing pretty good. Yeah. Got a busy week, but my birthday's this week. I gotta get a haircut today. I've got Wednesday lined up with all kinds of meetings. I've got my aquarium group little club thing where like 8 or so people. I'm going to a fish friend's house in Seattle for that on Thursday. So it's just one of those, like, how it works out for me. Like, in my mind, I'm not at work right now. Like, I realize I have to do this for work, but like Monday, it's like I worked out, which is me getting ready for Brazil, right? Like, so in my mind, it technically is still work, but I don't think of it that way. Like, I have to train to be ready to put my body through this for a couple weeks. And then, like, yeah, I showered, that's personal time or whatever. And then now I'm live streaming, and then I'm going to get a haircut, which is also kind of for work. I wouldn't get haircuts this often. Like, this is as long as I let it go because I'm in front of a camera all the time, right? And to me, I'm like, oh, it's so overgrown. But I'll do all that, and then it'll basically be 5 o'clock. And what is missing from there is like, yeah, I'm going to feed the fish, but no work got done necessarily on like 3D printing, prototyping, approving products. And so like tomorrow will be a bunch of that. So I'll get as much as I can done of that kind of stuff. But then Wednesday is like, it's all meetings. Like it's, so I work out, and then it's meeting. And then that basically goes till about 4 o'clock. Then it's like, okay, I got to feed fish and work on a little, check on a couple little things. And then Thursday, hopefully before I go to the aquarium group thing, maybe I'll make a video or edit a video or something like that. So the week starts going, it goes by quick when I put in some extra things like, oh, my birthday's got to happen. I got to go to grandma's, get to go to grandma's, have dinner, and do all those things. So the weekends are going by faster, and yeah. Did I ever get any of those red fish I saw at Zoo Box, the red muzzle tetras? I still don't have any in my fish room, but we sell them all the time at the store. They sell really well. I think they're too expensive. That's what my brain tells me. I think they're amazing. And I should totally, because on one, Corey, you just got done saying any fish is worth any amount of money. How could you? And then I also go like, yeah, but they're expensive. And so I also am frugal and they're like, yeah, but I think every year they're going to go down a little bit. Like they were real high price to start. What are we selling for in store now? We're down to, let's see here. I think we're calling them red cherry tetras, I think. Or cherry, yeah, red cherry tetras. And we retail them now for $16.99. So they're continually coming down in price over time. And I don't know where the threshold will be. Either A, we'll have a bunch that aren't selling at the store, and I'll be like, I'll take those. But right now, a lot of times, like we can kind of sell more than we can get easy access to. And I always feel guilty when I'm bringing something home because it's a double-edged sword for me. And that is that, one, I'm taking away money the store could make because they're coming to my house instead. And then two, showing them in videos are going to make more people want them. Because I'll be going, oh, I love these and they're great. And that's all true. But so it kind of like puts us in a worse spot of like, even more people want them. Thanks, Corey. Like, yeah, they're super cool. But So yeah, at some point I will definitely be keeping some though. I've ordered pogo several times and can't seem to keep it alive. I struggle with stem plants in general. Lost a valve from the last order too. Gravel substrate, use tabs and easy green. Any advice? What's your light looking like? Like right there, that's all pogo. I literally just put it in, and if you look at the video timeline and stuff, you'll probably be like, hey, wait, that took like 3 months for it to like transition over and start liking my well water and everything. This all of this is guppy grass, right? And so sometimes it's, make sure you have enough light, but you've got the nutrients going in, make sure no one's nibbling on it, and then time. Making sure that like it didn't freeze to death or get way too hot in transit, but that's unlikely too. If I didn't have a water change system, would you just top off as water evaporates or still water change by hand? Always water change. In my opinion, there's almost no reason to ever only put water in as a top off. And there's people that are like, I've been doing it for 700 years. My neon tetras poop straight gold, making me rich. You're such a fool. Cool. For me personally, if my water level got low and I don't have an auto water change system, I'm going, oh, the filter's making sound or whatever, it's very tempting just to pour water in. But it's not much more work to go, hey, let me grab like a 1 gallon pitcher and go like 1, 2, 3, 4 scoops out, and then I'll bring in 6 scoops back in. That way I'm not building up anything in the water. And normally the way my life runs, if I'm getting to a point where I'm getting a lot of evaporation to where it becomes a problem, because I usually run mostly tops and everything, that means that I've been really busy in life, and you're not watching the tank as closely. You're keeping fish differently than you normally would. It's in that exact moment where I feel like I don't have enough time to do a proper clean and do all the things that I should take some water out before I put more water in, and not cut that corner. So it only takes a little bit, only takes a little bit more time, but the dividends are so much more. I really want to start keeping green tiger and black ruby barbs, but I'm worried about them being jerks to my existing fish. Recommendations on their care. The bigger the group, the more likely they are to just harass each other. But in my opinion, from a guy that read a lot of articles in TFH magazine about the aggressiveness of barbs, in my opinion, it seems to be overstated. It's not that you couldn't have them be aggressive, but like they'd lead you to believe they're just gonna rip your arm off. And in my experience, like, well, I've always kept them in groups of like 15 or more. I'm like, I honestly don't know if they're more nippy than a lot of tetras. Like, maybe, but I kind of went through a whole barb phase because I was kind of just like, yeah, I think these are just getting a bad rap. And in my experience, like the black ruby barbs, I really didn't see any aggressiveness out of them at all, for sure. So I don't know. Maybe it's just they jive with the way I keep fish. Maybe. Let's see here. When you endorse things, I definitely consider the product, which is why I think it means I'm the Justin Bieber of fish keeping. Does he have that thing? If he recommends a thing, people buy it? I don't know enough about him. The only thing I know about Justin Bieber, really, is that he seems to be very talented in life. And what I mean by that is he's kind of an accomplished skateboarder and an accomplished drummer. Like, obviously, he's an accomplished musician. Sure. Like a singer, I guess. But I'm just impressed at the level of some of the other things in his life. And I think I'm more likely to click on that, like, Justin Bieber skateboarding? Justin Bieber playing the drums? Like, that's not normal compared to, like, Justin Bieber has a concert with 4.3 billion people attend. Like, yeah, it seems like the norm for that guy. But I'm just, yeah, I see those other things, and I was like, wow, who knew? Okay. Guy's got skills on lots of different things apparently. What's the hardest plant I've grown in my aquarium? Also, I tried growing Ludwigia meta of Cuba. What is that? I've never heard of that. Meta of Cuba, huh? Okay. Ludwigia inclinata. Variant verticulata meta. Hmm. 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 I really have like an axe to grind with the crazy plant names of like, but have you done Ludwigia inclinata version Snow White, Green Dwarf, Blue, Baby, Tier, Snickers candy bars? And half the time it's like, that's not even a morph. You just stressed it with light. But no, I haven't grown that plant. Um, so I don't really have anything besides me hating on crazy plant names. And what's the other question? Oh, what's the hardest plant I've ever grown? Mm, mm, I don't. Hmm. How? I guess part of it is, how do we quantify what's hard? Is it what other people have said is hard to grow, or is it the things that you've had to do to keep something alive? Because for the most part, I only keep plants alive that will live in water with CO2. Like I would say the most accomplished thing or the most amount of work I've been willing to do on a plant was flower Apontigitans and then use a paintbrush to cross pollinate by using the paintbrush on their stamens. And then they seeded, and I raised more Apontigitans from seed. That was just for like breeder reward program points, and it was kind of like a little fun project. But I'm trying to quantify like what makes a plant actually difficult. Usually it's just like we don't know a lot about the plant is what makes it difficult till people figure it out. And I as I just went over like fish where I'm like I'm willing to wait where they're like, yeah, this plant $80 a stem, and I just go, sweet, I'll see you in 5 years when bags of that are $2, like at a club auction or something. Because if it's a real prolific plant, we'll all have it. If it's a real pain in the butt, I don't want it. So, yeah. Do I have any Triops tanks right now? I don't. How many do you make? Wait, how do you make a CO2 at home? Uh, you can make it with like yeast and sugar, which everyone should do it at some point. It's not my favorite method. Just buy a CO2 system if you want to scratch that itch. Otherwise, like, am I back to that? Yeah, I'm back to that right now. All of my tanks none use CO2. So the difference would be like there's less red plants in here, and there are differences, but the average person will walk into our store would be like, oh, I need CO2 because I can't grow plants. And the reality is like, no, you just need to like learn plants more. It's there's some plants you might not be able to grow, but you're not having luck with any plants. What I find personally working with people in the store would be adding CO2 is only going to make this more complicated. If you can't figure out dosing and managing light, adding a third thing to try and manage is making this more complex for you. Little Wayne has gotten good at skating. I have seen those videos as well. Yeah, it's I don't know why. I guess I just clue in when I'm like, hey, the person that does the thing's doing a different thing well. Respect for that, I guess. Why are Congo puppers so hard to find? I've only seen them once for $250. They're hard to raise the fry. They're labor intensive, but like Dan's Fish will have them online quite a bit. Other places will have them online. We have them in the store. Like I've got 2 in the fish room right now that I'm just have on snail patrol. But more hobbyists are breeding them and selling them to stores and wholesale and all of that. So I do think over time they will probably settle out at 150 to $200 or something, long term. Right now you can see them north of that. Every once in a while you can see them south of that. Because sometimes people will be breeding them a lot, and then it's a lot of work to take care of them all. So then they liquidate them cheap. But long term, people that go, okay, I need to make a living breeding Congo puffers, they'll settle out a price that will make sense for that. Happy birthday, Melissa. It's your birthday. Let's see. Ideas or thoughts for feeding live food besides baby brine? One of my favorites is Daphnia, getting a little Daphnia pond going. Have I looked into 3D printing periscopes for underwater filming? Looking for a workaround for the fixed viewfinder screen. No, but that sounds 3D printing can dang near solve everything. My birthday is tomorrow, so you're celebrating by sitting here making a aquarium wish list. Well, my birthday is tomorrow as well. Happy birthday to us. What? A random live stream? Woohoo! I recently stopped at the Edmonds location, and I hate your snow. He said he loves your store. I picked up the electric blue Acaras, among others. Will come in more in the future. Cheers from Bellingham. Nice. If you're up in Bellingham, not that you can bring the fish over very easily, but it's worth going to check out, taking an afternoon, going up to Vancouver, get yourself some Indian food up there, and visit April's Aquariums. It's worth a stop. I go there every 3 months or so. Where I live, the water is quite soft. How can I harden it besides oyster grit? I'm a big fan of crushed coral. In fact, one of my underlying ideas and themes right now is that the entire fish room will mostly be crushed coral substrate. Here's my logic. I don't think I've ever had a tank crash or had a problem because of crushed coral. I have had problems when I don't have any crushed coral. Therefore, in my brain, why not have all tanks have crushed coral just like the store and my previous fish room? And so I'm really leaning into, I think overall, instead of the phase of going, what's the optimal thing in terms of the way I want to run it, I'm really kind of doubling down on what's the optimal way to have redundancy, set it and forget it type of things. And so, like, one of my principles that I'll be teaching and making videos about is, why is it that we have always treated filtration of this or that? I run hang-on-backs, or I run sponge filters, or I run canister filters. Not nearly as many people do combinations of things. Like, oh, I run 3 hang-on-backs. Well, like, why not 2 hang-on-backs and one sponge filter? And so, to go down that rabbit hole a little bit further, why doesn't every aquarium that has gravel, so key in on every aquarium that has gravel, not sand, not soil substrates, but every aquarium that has gravel, right? Why does it not have an undergravel filter? Now, the most common argument I see is an undergravel filter is not as good as a canister filter or a hang-on-back or this or that. And let's just say, without debating that, let's just say that's true. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that an undergravel filter, which I don't agree with, but is 50% as effective as any other type of filter on the market. Let's just say that's a true statement. My question still comes right back to, and why is it that we don't run an undergravel filter and that other thing that you say is better? Because in my experience, does this aquarium here look worse for the wear because it has an undergravel filter plate for this half? In my opinion, it's only a bonus from all of my testing. I can't see anywhere where it has been detrimental to me. Now, I could get the argument of, like, I want to run sand. You can't use an underground filter in sand. I agree. Yes. But when I look around my fish room, I'm like, wait, 95% of all my tanks have gravel. I could raise the substrate up by about half an inch and have an undergravel filter. Now, most of the undergravel filters on the market are taller, and I could see, like, maybe I don't want my substrate to be that tall. We fixed that problem. Don't worry. But yeah, so I don't know how I went down that tangent, but keeping things simple. So I think I'm going back to like every aquarium's pretty much going to have an underground filter with crushed coral on top of it, and then probably like a sponge filter or something else in addition to. Because right now they all have sponge filters. But when I ask myself the same question, why don't they have undergravel filters? I just go like, I actually don't have a good reason why I don't have an underground filter. I think they're beneficial. I think they give a great breeding ground for blackworms. I think they help buffer the water when you combine them with crushed coral. I think they are actually better for plant root systems. I think, and you can be like, well, they'll clog from plant roots. And I go, okay, so the alternative is no underground filter plate and a sponge filter in my fish room, or an underground filter plate and a sponge room in my filter. And if all the plants clog up my underground filter, it is then at worst, equal to the other one. So either A, I run a sponge filter, or B, I run a sponge filter. That's the same thing. Now, in a world where it doesn't get completely clogged because I haven't grown crypts so deep, or whatever it is so deep that they're all clogged, then it's another boon. So I'm leaning into my hobby going, what are the decisions I can make where I know I've proven to myself basically it can't go wrong for the way I keep fish? And I'm going to do that. So even if I had, like, let's say I had underground filter in here the whole way, and it's livebearers right now, but in 2 years it's Oscars. And you go, well, the Oscars are digging down to the plate. The water's going through the plate, not through the gravel. And I would go, and tell me again how that's worse than if I didn't have the plate at all. Like if I still have a canister filter, either way, I could have a canister filter and undergravel, and it works with livebearers. And then 2 years from now, the Oscars are digging, and the underground filter is useless. But then I just still have the canister filter. So I realize it costs some money, right? But in my opinion, the cost of an underground filter is so cheap compared to other filtration sources like canisters and hang-on backs and things that I think it's totally worth it. And so I think over time, people are going to be like, yeah, I get that logic. It's not detrimental, and it does help. Why wouldn't I? After lots of just showing how. I think a lot of people haven't used an underground filter, don't know a lot about it. Underground filter makes too much noise. Are you using a sponge filter? Because they're going to have the same uplift tube. It'll be the same noise. Like, to be fair, the underground filter I'm talking about is our version of it. It runs silent. You wouldn't even know it, just like our sponge filters and things. So I do realize that when we talk about a concept of like a sponge filter, undergravel, there are plenty of sponge filters that I think are terrible. Like they're designed badly. They're too fine a sponge. They've got a lot of things I don't like about them. They're not heavy enough. Like all those things. Too loud. I'm specifically talking about like one that I'll have optimized. Like I run sponge filters the way I like them. I've optimized them that way. Underground filters would be the same way for me. Would an underground filter work and make sense if half my 4-foot tank is split left to right, it's gravel and the other half is sand? Yes. So there's a whole thing that, as I kept thinking about underground filters, so I've been working on this product for over a couple years now, but I was like, why have we all agreed that it's an all or nothing thing? So like in this aquarium, I only have half of it to about here is undergravel filter. The rest is not. Because when you think about surface area, right? If I need a sponge filter this big to filter an aquarium, and maybe that's only a plate this big with this much substrate to get the same surface area, I don't have to have the whole aquarium done. But that's how we've always been sold them in the past. Is like, hey, here's a 3-foot one for your 40 breeder. Instead of, hey, you could just do 1/3 of your 40 breeder. Or a 1-foot square would do the same as like as a sponge filter. And so I'm kind of hoping that, you know, a lot of the times you guys didn't even know like how many months has been running half undergravel filter, and a lot of the aquariums have been running undergravels in different styles. One, I was testing for work. Two, I was testing just to see myself. And so there's ones from like Penplex, there's ones from Leaves, there's ones that we've 3D printed and all our iterations and different things. And I didn't have to swap some out. I'm like, yeah, That one wasn't great. Clogs up at 6 months. Had to run it for 6 months to know that, to make a change to make them better, right? So there will be some like, why are you swapping out an undergravel for another undergravel? Like, well, because I'm putting our final form in now. You know, the first version had this problem. We didn't know it till we encountered the problem. So I think there's going to be a lot of skepticism, but also people embracing. And I always, I always try to reduce it to like, tell me again how this hurts. Like, I understand that you don't think it's optimal, but explain to me how you think it's bad. Because that's a lot of times if you can get people to think that way, they go, well, I can't, I'm not sure it's bad for my aquarium, but I don't like it. And I'm like, that's fine. We've gotten to a point, like, you're allowed to not like something. But if it's like, well, just like canister filters, I can't say they aren't useful. I just hate cleaning them. I hate neglecting them and then cleaning them. That's my thing. They work. Every filter works. Yeah. What's my favorite aquatic plant that you think makes any aquarium look crazy better? For me, I think that's dwarf aquarium lilies. Like, just add water, makes aquarium look so much better. You get a red plant, easy. Like, you don't even really have to do fertilizing. You just drop it in. Like, wow, look at that, doing things. So so you guys a lot of times will get rants that are just heated debates I've had with Dean or other people. And I make them run through the thought experiment with me of like, but explain how it's bad, Dean. And Dean actually likes underground filters, but there's lots of other things of like, I understand your position, make me understand it. And I'll keep going, but how is that bad? But how is that bad? But how is that bad? Until either my brain understands it or we all have gone like, well, it's not bad per se. It is, I don't like this aspect. Like, okay, that's, tell me how pizza's bad. And eventually if it just comes like, well, I don't like the taste of pizza, like, then pizza's not actually bad. You just don't like it. Like, that's fine. We all can go, I just don't like things. Because I'm not a huge fan of like box filters. I understand how they work. I ran the whole store with them for a while to see like if they're better. And the reality is I just didn't like the way I had to service them. It's not that they didn't work, they totally worked. Every type of filtration works. At some point it does come down to preference. It's not that I hate, like, I'm trying to think of a food that I don't hate sushi. I just prefer Indian food, Mexican food, Greek food. There's a lot of food I just prefer. And so I always tell, like, anyone that works with me would say that. They say, where do you want to eat? And I'll go, anywhere but sushi. And it's like, I'll eat sushi if you are just like, oh, I gotta eat sushi. But I don't like the sushi price for the, I'm just eating like, it's edible. I just don't like it that much. Because I really don't like nori is what I don't like. But where so many other foods, like, oh man, I would love to eat that. And sushi being expensive, and then me just going, it's not worth it to me. What would you say is the best salt to yield more baby brine shrimp? Aquarium Co-op is the best. What plant can't you keep with Central American cichlids? What plant can't you keep? Any of them they're going to eat? Are you trying to say what could you keep? Broadleaf, thicker plants like Anubias and Bulbitis and Java ferns are most likely to work. Optimizing brine shrimp yield, in my opinion, is getting it as close to seawater as you can. So for me, that means using marine salt or our brine shrimp salt. Another level up from that, I think technically, would be salt water from a saltwater aquarium or the ocean. I've done that. I've collected water from the ocean. Did I get a magically better hatch? No, not really. Not in proportion to the amount of work. I didn't notice a tangible difference between marine salt and that. And so the fact that I can have a bag of salt that basically replicates me not having to go collect water off of a dock or anything like that was a worthy trade-off of like, yeah, saves me a lot of time and energy there. My wife has reminded me, so I'm going to start wrapping this up, that I have to get a haircut and I need to leave. I need to leave here within the next 15 minutes. I still got to feed fish and stuff. So, because by the time I get back, I think the lights will have turned off and I don't want to necessarily wake them back up if I don't have to just to feed. So I'll try to optimize my time there. I had an undergravel filter 20 years ago and it was fine. I use aqua soil or have some bare bottom for breeding now, so I have no need. Yeah, that's a fine take. I do find it interesting that I would say the current best wisdom of shrimp breeding right now is to use a plastic box with an undergravel filter where you put soil up on it so that it basically sets the water at 6.4 pH for Cardinia breeding, and which is the opposite of what I just want to do with crushed coral. But I find it interesting that like what's old is new. Like, yeah, the secret tech. Like, if you're really a high end crystal breeder and you don't have water that comes out perfect, it's underground filters. It's just I just snicker about it because there's people that are way against it, and then there's people at the top of this game over here that like swear by it, and those two coexist somehow. And both of the opinions are valid. It's just it depends on who you're talking to. Like, you speak to like Benete, like, oh, you couldn't do it without it. It'd be impossible. Not impossible, but like, oh yeah, it's really beneficial. Talk to the next person. That'd be terrible. Waste your time. Why would you do that? I use 300 FX6s on my 10-gallon tank. In fact, I like to have 10 times the water volume in the filtration than I do the aquarium. And it all works though. It's, some people, I went through a phase where it's like, yeah, more filtration makes me feel more safe about my fish. I get more enjoyment. I get it. I've been there. Newer to the hobby. More filtration, safer. Feels better. Enjoy it more. When will you do your next live stream? Because, bro, your live streams are the best. I don't know. I flirt with like, I should get back on a schedule like that. The problem is I'm at my best when I'm like, I feel like live stream right now. Like, I could have a conversation with people. That sounds fun. I'm at my worst when, oh, tomorrow I got a live stream. How am I going to fit this in? I want to work on that product. I want to set up that tank. I need to film a video. I'm not feeling so well. And so I've done this long enough to know that if I set a schedule and I stick to it, after like a year, we'll have 10 times as many members. By the way, thank you to Fish Tank Barn. He donated memberships early on in the live stream, and I didn't acknowledge that because I was busy ranting about AI robots. Anyway, back to the topic. If I stick to a schedule and I grind it and I optimize for it, we can get to a point where we have over 1,500 people in the chat, and it becomes unruly, and it's difficult and not enjoyable. If I randomly pop up on a Monday afternoon, we can have 350 people like we do right now. And I think the sweet spot from doing it over the years is roughly 700 or so people in chat. Keeps the chat moving. People have the side conversations. But I need to structure a little bit more. And I have a hard time because depending on the time of the year, sometimes weekends are good. Sometimes weekends are not good. Sometimes I'm out of town. And yeah, I'm doing the podcast on. So if you need more, like, this is gonna sound like a sales pitch, and that's not my intention, but you get another hour to hour and a half of this every week for the members only between Zenzo, myself, and Randy, and they keep the show going when I'm busy. So, like, if I'm in Brazil for 2 weeks, they'll keep the show going, and so that works, and I don't miss my schedule. And we can plan that. Like, every Tuesday, basically, an episode comes out, unless somehow we're all actually busy. It might be a Wednesday or a Thursday. But, yeah, I enjoy it. I'm at my best. I think I do my best shows when it's off the cuff. However, I can go months without doing one of like, oh, I just didn't wake up and feel like, yeah, today I got a live stream. I feel passionate about something today. So I'm hoping to build a structure in my life that will allow that to happen a little more, and also just have enough vibrance in the hobby to make me passionate about something. And today it was, I think, AI, while incredibly powerful in some ways, 90% of the way is terrible. And so I've only found one good use case, and I want to talk about it. And I wanted to because there's gonna be changes on the channel, right? It's gonna be like, why do your thumbnails suck? It's just you. Why are you in front of the camera, Corey? And it's gonna be me going, so I can prove that I'm not a robot, so that it's not just AI. There's another thing. There's a YouTuber I watch, and I want to incorporate that because I think it is meaningful. But they start the video by thanking people. They say, thanks for clicking on an aquarium co-op video. I appreciate that. And I think that's a real true statement that feels more impactful than it ever has of like, truly, thank you for clicking in on this live stream and choosing to watch me when you basically have access to every celebrity, every cool thing, every ounce of knowledge in the world. You chose potentially the last 2 hours and 19 minutes to listen to me talk about random things. And I think I'm just more in tune with that because there is so much noise, I would say, out there. I'm just like, yeah, it's not what I want to watch. That when I do find something I want to watch, I, as a viewer, feel good. But also, I now recognize that when people are resonating with what I'm doing, I'm thankful that they're finding it. Because it used to be, it was easy. They just, here, you like this, you'll keep getting it. Now, I feel like you do kind of have to go out of your way and search out the creators you do like and kind of weed through the noise of, but this is super clickbaity over here and this is going on, and kind of go, no, I want to be present in a community. And even if you're listening to this when it's not live, right? You're getting the community side of this, I think, a lot, as opposed to the presentation side of like a top 10 video. So this is, we don't know where it takes us in that, what question's going to get asked, what tangent are we going to go down, but it's always kind of the same format. You know what you're getting, and like, yep, the guy's going to talk for 2 hours and he's probably not going to swear too much. He's not going to scream at the camera. It's not going to be too crazy, but I could probably listen to that in the background while I'm doing other things. And maybe he'll say something. I go, hey, I learned something, or hey, I want to learn more about that. I'm going to research that later. So yeah, hit that like button. Yeah, that couldn't hurt. I never know what phase we're in right now. If it's like, oh, is it important right now? But in general, a little bit of your time won't hurt us. And as in clicking the like button. And if you ever see something that truly sticks out for you, share it with someone. Don't just share every video because that's just the boy that cries wolf. But if something really, really resonates with you, share it with a few of your fish friends and go, hey, he was talking about underground filters here. Is he nuts? Is he onto something? Maybe something like that. So I'm going to go get my hairs cut. And first I'm going to feed my fish and check on a couple little projects. Then I'm going to get a haircut. And then I'm going to figure out what I'm doing with the rest of my day. So, yeah, truly, thanks for hanging out with me. I do appreciate that. And I'll see you in the next video or the next live stream whenever those... Well, video will happen on Wednesday. And Deep in the Mulm will happen tomorrow and come out tomorrow. So I'll be doing those things. But, yeah, thanks for hanging out. I'm going to find the button to shut this shindig down. And we'll see how it goes. Bye-bye now. Oh, yeah. Don't forget, spend all your money with us. Make me a multi-billionaire. I'll be like that one guy who's like a billionaire. Didn't he buy like an insane amount of the rainforest? And he's just... Oh, no. I think the story goes he bought a logging company in the rainforest, shut it down to preserve the rainforest. If somehow you guys make me crazy billionaire, I'm going to do weird stuff like that where... I mean, I'm sure everyone said that, like I won't be the evil billionaire, but I'll make that commitment right today. You can quote it from today. If you make me a billionaire somehow, I will try not to be the evil billionaire. Who knows? Maybe at 1 billion, like once you cross that threshold, like they just implant a chip into your brain, you have to become evil. But at least some seem to have avoided that. Anyway, weird topic. I'm out. Talk to you guys later.